bring you some breaking news because the Japanese Meteorological Agency has issued a major tsunami warning after a series of earthquakes hit Japan earlier this morning with a preliminary magnitude of 7.6.
Residents in the coastal area of Noto were asked to evacuate immediately to higher ground.
Joining us is environment journalist Nathan Rao. Good morning to you, Nathan. Now, obviously, this is a breaking news story. We're getting more information all the time, but just tell us what exactly you know at the moment.
Right, as you said, this is breaking pretty much within the last hour. This is a 7.6 magnitude earthquake on the west coast of Japan in the Ishikawa prefecture of Japan. That's about 180 miles from Tokyo. This was recorded pretty much within the last couple of hours, and the authorities have instructed people to evacuate the area and the surrounding areas of Niigata and Toyama, which is also on the west coast of Japan. Now, this is quite a big earthquake. 7.6 is quite a sizable earthquake. The Japanese are quite well versed at dealing with earthquakes. They're not uncommon, they're very common. However, the risk now is of tsunami. We only need to think back to 2011 to the major tsunami which hit Japan and caused huge amounts of damage and a huge loss of life, and that is going to be the main risk now. Also, just to point out as well, the South Korean authorities are looking at the tsunami risk on that side of the country because they're sort of straddling the sea on that side. So this is a major event for Japan on the west coast. They'll be having a conference at 9 o'clock Japan time to discuss where to go forward from here and whether further evacuations are necessary, but an evolving story and one that we're going to be watching.
Yeah, Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority has said that no irregularities have been confirmed at nuclear power plants along the Sea of Japan, including the 5 active reactors at Kansai Electric Power Plant. But a tsunami of around 1 metre high has struck parts of the west coast along the Sea of Japan. But, Nathan, a bigger wave is expected.
Yes, and there is actually a tsunami warning. There's a different magnitude to tsunami warnings right down the west coast of Japan, because as we've seen before, when these earthquakes hit and the tsunamis sort of roll in, they can affect the whole of the west coast. It's actually very good news because one of the Kansai Electric have said that the power plants are not under risk, because in 2011 that was one of the major problems, was the Fukushima power plant. That caused major problems. Thankfully, they don't seem to be too worried about that. However, I imagine they will be telling people from surrounding areas of Ishikawa to evacuate and move to higher ground this morning as a precaution, if nothing else, because when these tsunamis roll in, they roll in quick and people need to take action, and they can lead to a huge loss of life. As I mentioned, Japan is very, very well versed to earthquakes. They have about 1,500 earthquakes a year. They are on 3 tectonic plates, so they can deal with earthquakes. It is always the aftermath and the aftershocks of earthquakes that cause the major problem. That is the tsunamis or fires that are the result of the earthquakes. So that is probably what the authorities now, as we go forward, are going to be looking at as we go through the morning.
And it's not just Japan, Nathan. A tsunami warning has been issued for cities in eastern Russia as well.
Yeah, because these things spread. I mean, you know, a tsunami, an earthquake is almost like dropping a large stone into a pond. If you can imagine, the ripple effect ripples right out. And that is what the tsunami is. I mean, a tsunami, by definition, is the movement of the water when the tectonic plates shift. It's like upturning a plate, upturning a plate of water, and that will ripple out. So anywhere within the vicinity of the sea on the coast that is going to be affected by this earthquake is going to have a risk of tsunami. As I mentioned, it is really the west coast of Japan and South Korea that is most at risk, but also Russia is in that vicinity as well, so they will be watching it as well, all around the coast. But I think Japan primarily is going to be on the watch list this morning.
Nathan, for the moment, thank you. And if we do get any more updates, we will keep you right up to date here on GB News.
Yeah, Japan's weather agency is due to hold a news conference shortly, so that is likely to yield more information.